Hello buddy, welcome back to the channel. I've got my new friend JJ here, and JJ is one of my subscribers, and you sent me a comment today, right?
Yeah, actually it was yesterday.
It was yesterday, okay.
Yeah.
So I saw the comment, and you said you're going to be here, and
Yeah.
I normally don't come on Saturday because the coffee shop here has a Bible study, and it gets really busy and really noisy, so we're lucky today it's kind of quiet, so nice to have you here. So tell me a little about your background, JJ. Where are you from?
I'm from, born and raised in Nebraska, and moved, I've lived in 8 different states, 3 different careers. So I've lived in Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee.
So we live in some of the same states, Indiana, Kentucky, Colorado.
Yeah.
I've never been to Nebraska, I don't think.
Yeah, well, people it's not very memorable, so if you have, you probably don't remember. But yeah, so I've been in, my career started in college when I was in radio.
You were in radio?
I was in radio as a DJ and a program director and operations manager for some stations.
I did radio in Louisville, Kentucky for a little while.
And I lived in Louisville for a little while. Wasn't in radio then.
Yeah.
I was in college.
It was WGDK AM, and I saw an ad in the newspaper when I was selling cars and it wasn't working on ships anymore. And it said interns for, Dr. Stan Frager show.
Right.
And I showed up, and there's all these college kids that were trying to get their credits,
Right.
And Dr. Frager, he was the staff psychologist for the University of Louisville, and had a show on. It was every Sunday night from 8 to 10. He had it for, 15, 20 years. And he said, okay, I was like 50-something years old. He gave me a job as an intern. And within a month or two, I was executive producer of the whole show.
Wow.
And
That's
so
awesome.
I co-hosted with them. I wrote all the questions. I found all the guests that we're going to interview, through the radio or through the phone. So it was
radio
fun.
was a great career. I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was something I always wanted to do when I was little. I listened to WLS radio in Chicago when I was little, growing up in Nebraska, and just wanted to be a DJ. So.
Yeah. So you're playing music, or?
I did music, and then I was a program director. I said program radio stations in different markets, and
Wow.
was lucky to have a lot of #1 stations that I programmed. And
How cool is that?
yeah, it was neat. It was a neat career. Didn't pay really great, but
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we made no money at all.
had great perks though. Free music,
Yeah, we were
free
getting free
concert
stuff,
tickets,
yeah.
and all that stuff. So.
Free stuff,
Yeah.
But I remember the first time he actually had me in the booth with him. He'd sit there on one side and I was on the other, and the calls would come in, and it was just so exciting to sit there, and after a while he said, if you have something to say, jump in there. And so I started asking questions. Next thing you know, I was writing all the questions, and it was fun. We talked to all kinds of really interesting people. But the thing about talk radio, you have no idea how many people are out there listening.
Oh right, yeah.
None.
Yeah. You kind of get an idea if the phones aren't lighting up. But,
yeah, that's the scary thing, because you've got an interesting guest on, and if you get a guest who you ask them a question and they give you a one-word answer, and no calls are coming in,
Right, yeah.
and you've got an hour or 2 hours to fill, it can get kind of scary.
I did clubs, DJing clubs too during that period, and so the difference between working at a club and working on the radio is it's instant gratification in a club. You know if you pick the right song, if that dance floor is full.
Yeah.
If it empties, then I didn't pick the right song. So.
Well, I grew up in the 70s, and when disco was out, and that was like the coolest job. If you were a DJ in a nightclub, man, that was cooler than being a guitarist in a band,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
My second career was in insurance and investments, so I went out and decided, I was married at the time, and my wife said, you're not making enough money, so you got to get a different job. So I got all my licenses, my health and life and health, my property and casualty, my Series 6 and 63, so I did that for about 5 years and didn't really like it. And I got in right in 2008 when the market crashed, and so it was really hard then. So I went from 1 year making 6-figure salary to barely making $50,000 the next year. So it was tough.
Yeah, when I was off ships and looking for something new and didn't want to sell cars, I got hired by Aflac to sell insurance. And then all of a sudden you had to go and get your licenses and take tests and stuff.
Right.
And I just my whole brain just freaked out. Said, I can't do this. I will hate this.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry, guys. I quit. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. You know, I'd rather sell cars than anything.
It's definitely not for everybody.
It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for me at all.
So I got out of that, and my last career was back in college. I was worked in admissions at different colleges around the country, and mostly director of admissions for different colleges. And that's what brought me here.
Well, do you ever think, you know, you said your wife pushed you into giving up radio
Right.
and doing something else. Let's say you could go back in time. Let's say you weren't married, you stayed single, or you were with somebody else and more supportive. Would you have stayed in radio?
Probably, yeah, probably. I got some friends that are still in radio.
Because like, you know, with careers, it's not about the money. It's like whether you're happy or not. Like the station I was basically a volunteer. I wasn't getting paid. But I loved going down there. Every Sunday night I go down there. We were on the air from 8 to 10. I get there around 7. And it was just exciting and fun. And, you know.
Yeah, there was never a day I didn't like going to work.
Yeah.
It wasn't work to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want. If you have a job that you don't consider work, if you had a job that you would do that you do for free, then you got the right job.
Exactly.
That's like my whole life when I was a production stage manager doing concerts or theater or working on cruise ships. I love my job so much, I would have done it for free. I would never tell my boss that.
Right. Yeah.
But I loved it, you know?
Yep.
And I think that's more important than the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you decided to retire at 62 or 65?
65, yeah.
So you waited a little while.
Waited, yeah. I came here, we talked about this off camera, but I came here for a job. I was working for a global international university based out of California, just a small university, but they were expanding their footprint into Asia, and they needed. I was living in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the time, and I just lost my job at an aviation school, and so I interviewed with this guy. He was there, and he was talking about expanding, and I just mentioned because I love Asia, and I almost took a job in China teaching English back in 2016. But just for whatever reason, I had a contract ready and to send in, but it didn't go, and I always regretted it. I always regretted not taking that chance.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in passing this guy, I go, if you ever expand to Asia and you need a guy over there, I'm your guy. He goes, well, funny you should say that. We're planning on expanding into Asia. And so he called the president of the college after our interview, said, hey, we got our guy. And he called me before I even got back home. He called me and offered me the job.
Wow.
So I started doing research back, this would have been October, November of 2021. Started doing research and figuring out where I was going to live. And that's where your channel and a couple other vloggers' channels came in, kind of helped me understand where to go. And ended up going to BGC. And then when that job ended last year in September, I just put the numbers, crunched the numbers that, hey, I can retire early. I can retire and stay here and be comfortable, you know, and be happy. Yeah. You know, no stress.
And BGC, for those that haven't been there, it's like, you think you're in another country. It's
yeah,
like
it's a real bubble compared to.
I mean, I think they have like a Rolls-Royce dealership there, and
they got Rolls-Royce, Lennox. They got everything.
Everything is there, you know.
I don't live that life. I'm not that rich, but I'm comfortable. I mean,
all the American restaurants are there, nice malls of shopping, no dogs, no tricycles.
Well, they have dogs.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, if you go down the High Street and you'll see people with strollers, probably 75-80% of them have dogs in them.
Well, I mean the ones that run around.
Oh, no feral dogs.
Yeah.
They have cats. They have cats everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
They have them neutered or something though, don't they?
Yeah, they pick them up, they spay and neuter them, they drop them off there, and then they feed them. They go over there every day and feed them. So it's kind of a neat little thing.
Yeah, interesting,
Yeah, I like it. It's a bubble, but it's easy because I can walk everywhere. And
yeah, you can.
They call it like a 15-minute city. You can literally walk from one end to the other.
I found taxis were very inexpensive there, and we also used Uber or Lyft, and that was really easy. And
yeah, Grab's there, but it's harder to get a Grab there because it's so busy.
Huh.
Especially if you're trying to get out of BGC, like if you want to go to.
I think we used Lyft and it was easy, and then there was times we just like walk out and taxi come by and grab them, and off we went.
Yeah,
no
taxis are cheap.
And so you said your rent for a one-bedroom apartment is 35?
35,000 a month.
And so that's about, what, 550, something like that in US dollars?
It's a little over 600.
600, okay.
Yeah, with the current exchange rate.
Yeah,
55.
yeah, I'm paying 30,000 for my place, you know, in the
So
beach.
when I moved there, I got a condo for, it was 60 square meters. It was nice. And it was 40,000 I was paying. But I was working at the time and I was making a really good salary.
Yeah.
So that money was nothing because it was literally half of what I was paying for a townhouse, small townhouse in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, I was paying almost $1,500 a month for a townhouse in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then moving here, I was paying $700 for a nice condo.
You probably have a gym and a pool and all that stuff.
Gym and a
too.
pool, and you know you can walk everywhere. And then when my lease was up last April, I moved out and I started traveling. I went to Thailand 3 times, went to Vietnam twice, went to Singapore. So I didn't rent anything. I just put what little things I had. I stored them at my friend's house, my friend's condo in BGC, and I just traveled for 4
Nice.
months. You know, and I went back to the States back in September, October this year. Then when I came back, it's like, well, I need to find a place to live. Living out of the suitcase, you know, I watched Vagabond Awake,
Yeah.
and it's like, that seems like a really neat life, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I love traveling, but I need a home base.
Yeah, it's nice to have your own place and your own stuff around you, you know. Well, so you've dissolved your life back in America. You don't have any house back there, possessions back there?
I sold almost everything. I've got a small 5x10 storage unit in Tulsa that I keep my personal things.
You
Things
think
I
you'll
wouldn't
ship
be
it
able to
over here?
sell. I don't think so.
No?
What I'll do is I'll give it all to my sister and let them go through it.
I got 10 boxes on the way with all my, you know, stuff that I held on to.
Wow. I got a car, but I'm going to sell that. So it's at my cousin's house. So once I sell that, then I'm pretty much done with America.
Yeah, it's nice not to have that, you know, burden. Like for me, it was $100 a month, and then they raised it to $150.
Well, that's when I got the unit, it was 55, and then every 6 months it went up. So now it's like $88 a month. And it's like, that's
$50
almost
raise is big on a $100 rental, and I said, you know, I just finally said, no, I'm moving. And then when I moved out, they started sending me all these promos. Oh, get 2 months free and do it. I said, sorry,
right.
you know, I was a loyal, you know, tenant renting there for 5 years, and you stuck it to me while I was in another country, couldn't do nothing.
Right.
And now you want my business again? Sorry.
Yeah. It's backwards marketing. It's like they give the discounts to the new, but the people that've been there forever, they just keep hiking the prices.
Your good tenants, you screwed them over.
Yeah.
And so you've more or less decided that the Philippines is going to be your home the rest of your life, or?
Well, Asia. Or Southeast Asia, yeah. Like I said, I've been to Thailand, I've been to Vietnam. I really love those countries. I want to check out Kuala Lumpur. I haven't been there yet.
I heard it's really. I've been there back in the '80s. I heard it's really nice now.
Yeah.
Bali's nice too. My friend's over there now. He loves it.
Okay, and I love Japan. Tokyo is probably my favorite city. It's
really?
too
I've never
expensive.
been there.
Oh, I love
it. It's
it.
expensive though, isn't it?
It's expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can get a fairly inexpensive place to live, but you're literally living in a box.
Yeah, I've seen some apartments on YouTube that are like unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Worse than New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I've been dating. I've always loved the Asian culture, and I've always loved the look of Asian women.
Yeah.
And so the reason why I'm here, I'll give you a little background story, is when I was working at a small college, tech college in Indianapolis, this lady, she was Filipina, and she was the cleaning lady, and this guy would drop her off. She was probably 30 and he was probably 70.
Yeah.
And he'd show up in this old beat up red pickup and drop her off in the morning and then come pick her up at night and she'd clean. And I just thought she was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And we started talking, and it's like, I'm looking at this guy, it's like, why can't I do that? You know, why can't I find a beautiful wife? Because at that point I was divorced.
But why else is he making it work as a cleaning lady? Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But she was so nice. She'd bring all this food on her birthday. She'd make all this food and bring it to our staff. I mean, she was the sweetest thing ever. So this is in 2014, I guess. I just got divorced 2 years before, and the dating scene in America is horrible. Still is.
Expand on that a little bit.
So I'll give you a couple of examples. So I got on these dating sites, and I started talking.
eHarmony, things like that.
Well, it was Plenty of Fish was the
Yeah,
one
yeah,
I was on.
yeah.
I always did the free ones.
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
because I don't feel like paying
Yeah.
for services. So I would talk to these women and date, and they would. There was this one woman. I was living in Evansville, Indiana at the time.
I used to live there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Neat little town.
Yeah, it's all right. You know, every girl I dated there had a kid. Every
Yeah.
single one.
Yeah. So I'm at work and I'm messaging this woman that we've been messaging back and forth. It's like, it was a Wednesday. I always went to Bar Louie.
Yeah.
This little bar. They had a Wednesday special. You get a bucket of beer for like $5 or
Do
something.
you remember the Village Saloon?
Village Saloon. I don't
No.
recall. Yeah. But so I just messaged her. I go, hey, I'm heading to Bar Louie after work. Do you want to join me? She goes, oh, you get to choose where we go? That was her reply.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, oh, okay. So I said, nah, that's where I usually go on Wednesdays, but you know, I'll go wherever you want to go. Where would you like to go? And then her reply, and I swear to God, this is it. Her next reply was, why do I have to choose?
Oh, God.
And that, in a capsule, in a nutshell, that encapsulates what dating is like
Wow.
in the U.S.
That really does.
Yeah.
That really does.
And so I got on Date in Asia, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was the first dating site I got on. And I met this girl, and she was a OFW in Hong Kong. This is back in 2015. And she had a holiday over Christmas of that year to go back to her province to see her kids. She had 2 kids. And so I booked my flight over Christmas. It was expensive. It was like $2,300 round trip. And flew out to Manila. She met me at the airport, which I hear that, oh, that's a no-no. But you know what?
No, that's okay.
I think it's okay because
Yeah.
you want somebody that knows
Yeah.
how to get around. Otherwise, you're going to get taken advantage
But
of.
when they do that, that means, as far as in their mind, Ty, you're her
They're in a
boyfriend.
relationship.
Yeah, you're in a relationship.
And
yeah.
I was that way too.
Yeah.
I'm not a passport
Yeah.
bro. So,
Yeah.
so we spent a couple of nights in Manila at Hotel H2O, and then we took this bus to, and I mentioned this on my YouTube channel. We took this bus to Cabanatuan.
Yeah.
That's where she's from, up in northern Luzon. And literally, it was like a 4-hour bus ride, and it was so full, no AC. They had to put 8x2 planks across the aisle to sit on.
Oh, God.
So I'm sitting on this plank,
Oh.
no backrest, hot, 4-hour ride. First stop, this guy gets on and sells pork rinds to like 90% of the Filipino. So they're crunching these pork rinds for the next 4 hours. So it was a crazy ride, but got there, met her mom, met her grandma, met her kids. It was great. We had a great relationship for about 6-8 months, still long distance. And then she confessed that she was seeing somebody else, so we broke up.
Yeah.
But I thought,
If she's an overseas worker anyway, that's not going to work
Yeah.
out with
Yeah.
the kids and stuff. Yeah.
so I thought, you know, it's like, well, let's try it again because this was great. So met another girl, and we'd been talking for about 3 months, and she said, well, you know, she's not in a relationship, I'm not in a relationship, so I'd come here like twice a year to see her. From like 2017 to 2020. We actually went through the K-1 visa.
Oh, wow.
We got all the way to the end where I came in March of 2020, right when COVID hit. Went to Manila. All she had to do, she had her medical, she had her background check. All she had to do was the interview. So I went online, scheduled the interview, paid for all this stuff, paid for she had 3 kids.
Ooh.
So I paid for the visas for all of them. And
What'd that cost you?
I
roughly?
think totally, probably the whole thing, probably over 10,000.
10,000 US?
With everything from start to finish.
Yeah, but 10,000?
Yeah, probably.
Whoa.
Because you had to, because if
man.
you're counting all the trips
Yeah,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
forth, and you have
Yeah,
to document all that. I went through a site, and I kept thinking the name of it, but I'll find out. You can put it on the link if you want. But that part was fairly inexpensive. It was like $1,800. But just documenting everything, and then when you get there, you have to buy the fees. You have to pay for the fees, and they're like $160 each. So there's 4 of them, and then you have to pay for the medical. You have to pay for the police report and all that, which isn't huge expense.
Yeah.
But just the trips back and forth.
Yeah.
So we got to the point where I scheduled the interview, and the earliest date I could do was April 28th. I'll never forget the date. And then here it was March 1st. And I said, well, I won't be here. I won't be able to come back. But let's go through. I found this online. I found all these questions, like 100 possible questions they'll ask in the interview. Let's go over these so you're prepared. And she wouldn't do it. And she got all tempo on me. So we went back to her province in Leyte, and we're talking. It was on my birthday, March 1st, and we're talking. And I said, "So what's going on?" She goes, "I don't want to go to the U.S. I don't want to get married." Just dropped that bombshell on me.
Well, did you really want to go live in America?
Yeah, I was ready to go back at that time. I was ready to go back to America and bring her with me because that's what she said she wanted. And so it's like, okay, fine. So I got a trike. She was living in Mahaplog, which is a little community in the mountains. Got a trike back to the highway, got on a bus to Tacloban and took the flight back to Manila. And then from there, my flight wasn't supposed to leave until like the 8th of March. So I'm there for like 7 days alone and bored. I'm staying in this little apartment in Paranaque. And it's like, this is boring. So my flight was supposed to go from Manila to Tokyo, and I was supposed to have a 24-hour layover in Tokyo, and then fly from Tokyo to Beijing, and then Beijing back to the U.S. Well, I said, well, screw this. I'm not staying for 7 days in Manila. So I took another flight, flew to Tokyo, and spent a week in Tokyo.
Oh, nice.
But then I found out, that if you break any of your links, they cancel everything.
Oh, no.
So this is right at COVID too. So I'm trying to find another flight out of Tokyo, and everything went up. And this lady goes, well, we can get you on that flight, but it's going to cost you $21,000. I go, yen? She goes, no, American. What? I go, are you kidding me? So I called my boss. It's like 11 at night. I call him at home and say, I'm not going to make it home. So I got my laptop out. I'm trying to find flights. I finally found one that was within my range, like $1,500 one way. And it didn't leave for another week. Part of the problem was they stopped doing flights to China at that time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because Trump said no more flights going into, or whoever it was. Good.
Yeah.
So, but I got to spend another week in Tokyo, which was awesome. So that turned out great. But it kind of just made me double down on wanting to. And I decided at that time, it's like, well, I want to move here. I want to move to Asia, and I want to.
Yeah.
So when that job came around, that was the perfect opportunity. So.
Yeah, I tell everybody, if you want to meet someone in Asia, especially in the Philippines, the way to do it is to decide where you want to be. Say you're in BGC. When you go on these dating sites, only talk to women that are in BGC.
Right. Yep.
Don't waste your time talking to somebody that's in, Palawan or wherever,
Yeah.
and then come and see her in person, spend time with her. I think unless you really want that, I think it's best to stay away from someone who's got children, because along with the children comes sometimes an ex-husband and family, and it gets real complicated.
Right.
And it's just better to stay, with someone who doesn't have any children. But
yeah, you got to make sure that they're not married, because
that can be.
They're not divorced then.
Yeah.
If they're married, they're not divorced.
They're not. No, and it's
they
hard
can
to get
say,
annulment.
we're separated, but if they're still married, then that's.
Because what can happen is the current husband finds out she's dating a foreigner, and they can kind of blackmail you, because it's against the law,
right?
To commit adultery over here. So they can threaten you. Well, if you don't give me X amount of money, I'm going to turn you in.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
they don't really prosecute that too often, but
Yeah. So I learned my lesson. When I moved out here for my job, I didn't date for a couple months. I just dove into my work, and which was great, you know. And then about 2 months in, I thought, well, you know, I'm going to check it out, start dating again. So, and you're right. You know, if you find somebody that's lives in another island or lives 4 hours away, then you're paying for their transportation to meet. You know, so right off the bat, you're forking out money.
yeah.
You know, and it may be fine for some people, but if you're going to do that every time they come to see you, I mean, you're
Yeah, when I met my wife, she lived 15 minutes from where I did.
perfect.
You know, so.
Yeah. So I got lucky. I just mentioned this on my channel that I've been dating somebody for about 10, 11 months now.
Oh, good.
And it's been really good.
Has she got children?
She's got one daughter.
But never been married?
Never married,
Okay.
and the dad's out of the picture. I mean, completely out.
How
of
old's the daughter?
She's 8.
Okay.
So, but the father has never even seen the daughter. He
Okay.
left before he was born.
Yeah, that happens around here a lot.
Yeah. So, but that's been great. I mean, she's been, and I've done a lot of dating. I'll admit, I've done a lot of dating here. But this one's completely different. You know, she's never asked for money. She pays her own
So
transportation.
there you go. Yeah.
It's been awesome. She
So are you
takes
guys
care-
living together?
Yeah, well, she just moved in this last month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Her job ended. She was working in Lipa City,
Yeah.
and her job ended. Her employer moved to Ireland, and so she moved up to Manila, and so she's living.
So you got her and her daughter living with you, right?
No, her daughter lives here in Negros. That's why I'm here.
Oh. Are you going to bring the daughter to BGC?
Probably at some point. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about marriage yet. We're going to see how living together works for a few months and see.
You think you might come here and live instead of BGC?
I've said this on my channel. It's like I would never move to Dumaguete, I said, because I've been here several times. But I want to qualify that statement a little bit. I would never come here looking for a girlfriend. Now, I might come here and bring one here with me. But we were in Bacolod 2 days ago, and I really like Bacolod too. So that's a possibility. So nothing's out of the, everything's on the table. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's kind of what you have to have an open mind, and you'll find the place that resonates with you and that you like the best. And 7,000 islands here, lots of places to live.
Yeah. I want to travel more too. And, I want to get her passport. She wants to get her passport so she can travel.
The only problem with the Filipino, though, is there's only so many countries you can take them to.
Right. Yeah. Well, I want to travel in Asia, so
Yeah. Well, you're good then.
Thailand, Vietnam.
You can
Eventually, go back.
You can go to
the
Turkey. You
US.
can go there. Mexico.
Yeah.
So, in your life, like I've always been asking this lately to people, like, what's the toughest thing you've had to go through? And you say, I'm so glad I got through that part of my life.
My whole life, or just
your whole life.
here? Oh, I was homeless.
Really?
I was homeless one time. I was between jobs.
How old were you?
It was fairly recent. It was probably 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not one of those that ask friends and family for
Yeah, I know
handouts.
what you mean.
I don't do that. So I've always been a survivor. So I lost a job. The college I was working at in where was it? Owensboro, Kentucky.
I know where that is.
Yeah. They closed down. The college closed. It was a small technical school. Did a lot of like nursing and things like that, degrees. They closed, so I was out of a job, and I'm looking for work, and I couldn't find anything. So for about 4 months, I couldn't afford my apartment. So I got down to I either get an apartment and get rid of my car and my cell phone, or keep my car and my cell phone and not have an apartment. And I thought, well, I need my car and my cell phone to look for work and go to job interviews. So I left the apartment. And so for about 4 months, I was basically living on Honey Nut Cheerios and peanut butter in my car.
Oh God, what kind of car you got?
It was a nice car, a Mazda 6.
Okay.
2016 Mazda 6. So it would have been 2017, I think.
Wow.
No, it was 2016 when that happened. Because 2016 was literally
I was
the
in a
worst
very
year of my
dark
life.
place that same year.
Really?
Yeah, very
Wow.
dark.
Yeah, that was literally the worst year of my life in 2016. So
Yeah, me too.
every job I took, the school closed within months. So it's like I just was unlucky at all this. So, so I was literally living out of my, I had all my clothes out in my trunk, and I joined Planet Fitness for $10 a month, so I can go in every day and shower and shit.
Where were you parking your car to sleep?
Just finding a parking lot, an empty parking lot. And at one point I was actually parking in the parking lot of the school because they had closed, so there wasn't anybody there. But it was like in September, October, November, December, so
cold out.
Even in Owensboro, Kentucky, it got a little cold at night. So
how many months did you have to do that?
About 4 months.
Wow.
And I got a job in December in Louisville, Kentucky. So
yeah, that's where I used to live, Louisville.
Yeah, beautiful city. Kind of
not for me though.
A little too liberal though for me.
Not for me, period.
But yeah, so what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? So that's life lessons. But
well, it's like you think back on those dark days, you're living in your car. If you could have, because some people, they get places like that and they get like suicidal. Like say, well, then what's the point of even living?
Yeah, I've never.
And then,
never got to that.
But then you think of like those dark days for you, and if you could have seen the future, that I'm going to be, a few years from now, me living in the Philippines, have a beautiful girlfriend, live in a really cool apartment in a really cool place,
right?
And that there's light at the end of the tunnel if you just hang in there. But sometimes you got to make drastic changes.
Yeah.
Drastic.
Well, when I got divorced in 2012, that was a drastic change because basically it sucked all my money out. So I was basically starting from nothing.
Yeah. Hear that a lot.
That was tough, yeah. But you know what? You come out on the other side and...
Well, do you get a pension from your jobs, or you just get Social Security?
Yeah, I've got a pension. I've got a small pension.
Well, that's good.
It's not a lot. If I'd waited longer, it would have been, but...
That's good. You got two sources of income.
Right.
Now, are you going to do anything else? Like, you mentioned tutoring English. Like, I did that for a while with Cambly, and it wasn't a lot of money. It was $10 an hour, but it's something I did, like, sitting in my apartment, just chatting to people around the world.
Right. Yeah, I actually joined Cambly, so I've got an account there, but I've never opened it. I've never went active on it.
We should try it.
I might. I don't know yet.
It's fun. It's like literally, it's not teaching.
Right. It's more conversation.
Yeah, it's like the phone or a call will come in. A call will come in from some Saudi Arabia, Brazil, wherever, and they just want to have a conversation with a native speaker, and you just talk about whatever they want to talk about. And if you can't understand something or they can't understand you, you can type in English and they'll see it in Arabic or whatever, and they can type back to you. And and you see where they live is kind of cool. You see where they live.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. And then they pay you every Monday by PayPal.
Yeah.
No deductions, no nothing.
Yeah, I thought about that. I've talked about maybe starting a business here at some point. Maybe next year. I don't know yet. But I want to see. I have a friend that he actually has rented several condos in BGC on like 3 to 5 year leases.
Yeah.
And he's got in the contract where he uses them for Airbnbs. So he's Airbnb-ing it.
The whole Airbnb business is crashing right now around the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to see how, he says he's booked through the year. And I said, well, I want to see next year how your whole year goes.
Yeah, something happens like a war, typhoon, it could be any number of things, and you're on the hook for all those rents.
Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that.
So I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I love to travel. I started my YouTube channel back in May, but I was doing videos and putting them on YouTube and sending them to my friends and relatives.
Yeah, a lot of people start.
And then when I was retired, I was so bored, so I thought, well, I'll just start this channel and do it full time.
What's the name of your channel?
JJ the Lonely Bull in Asia.
Okay, so if you'll send me a link to that, I will put it in the description here.
Definitely, yeah.
So guys, it's getting kind of noisy in here, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap this. Oh, I got one more question I've been asking people.
Sure.
I forgot about this. Going back in your life again, if, say there was some kind of magic way to relive one day of your life that was a really great day, so, and you could change the day. You don't have to do exactly what you did that day, but you could go back to that day and relive it. What day would that be?
Oh my gosh. Probably my college graduation, because I went to college for 2 years and then left, and left with a girl I met, and we got married, and that was a disaster. Only lasted a few years. Then as circumstances happened, I ended up back in the same city where I started college about 6 years later. So I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well finish college. So I actually graduated in 91 when I should have graduated like 82 or something like that. So that was kind of a neat thing for me. It's like I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. Wow. Both my parents didn't finish 10th grade. That was back during the Depression.
Yeah.
So I was pretty proud of doing that. So I probably relive that.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing your story, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please check out his channel and share his videos and like them as well. And we'll see you next time. Bye.